This is the market video for the week of December 1st, 2014. I am your host, Michael Saul, also known as Tiny. And we are going to start off with the currency pairs because I got 4 complaints last week, which is like a record for me, that I forgot to do the currency pairs. And I had been doing them, I believe, the previous few weeks, but I started doing them again, and then I really didn't get any feedback on them, so I figured nobody cared, but now I got feedback, so I will absolutely be doing them going forward. So we'll just start off with them. Before I begin, hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I'm not a big turkey guy, but I got to spend some time with my family, and that's the most important thing for me, and that's really what Thanksgiving is all about. So even if you didn't celebrate, if you got to spend some time with someone you loved, hey, it's you celebrated the holiday whether you know it or not. So let's take a look at the euro versus the dollar. Now, the euro has been in a pretty steady downtrend. Paul had been calling for a dollar rally for some time if you were privy to his information on the Sunday night strategy sessions. And he had thought that this move in the euro was corrective and that the dollar would start a rally. And it finally decided to kick in May here. I don't think that this decline in the euro is over. I believe that we are going to go lower. I believe we're going to go to all-time lows in the euro. And I even think that we could go to par, that the euro and the dollar could go to par. Now, that's the longer term. On the short term, I believe that we will consolidate here and break down again. But I have to be cognizant of this little W forming here. So the W's forming at multi-year lows. So we have to be watchful of that. But to me, okay, so that's one pattern. But to me, I'm looking for more of a consolidation to set up and for us to drop, to do a little drop zone out of this. And then, sorry about that. And then we'll look for these levels to watch here. Okay, you got the 2012 lows at 2041, 1.241. So is that 241 or 214? No, 20, yeah, 1.241. So that's what I'm looking at on the downside here of the euro on the weekly chart. And then the 2010 lows would be next at 1.875. I think we're going lower, but right now we are in a consolidation, so we have to wait for a break. Okay, the consolidation says that we are at an equilibrium point, and we have to wait for the euro to tip its hand. The dollar versus the yen, okay, this is the cash market. If you were looking at futures, it would be yen versus dollar. Still in a pretty nice accelerated move here. Still think higher prices are to be seen. I do believe we are overbought. We could see that on the weekly chart. We're very stretched, but I'm not looking to short it here. If anything, I'm looking for pullbacks, for buying opportunities to go up to these highs up here. Let's grab a monthly and see if we can even congest it a little bit better. Yeah, I think the dollar versus the yen will go up to this 147 and 65 number eventually, but you know, we still have to get over each and every hurdle on the way there. So we can even draw a trend line like this. You could see we broke. I mean, we're overbought here on the yen on the weekly chart. We're due a rest, but I believe that rest, whether it's a sideways consolidation or pullback, will lead to higher prices. Let's look at the Aussie dollar. Okay, I think the Aussie is headed for lower prices as well. Okay, we got this low right here to watch, and that comes in at 80, yeah, but 80.7, no, 0.87. So that's what you want to do, 0.807. Okay, that's what you're looking for on the Aussie dollar versus the dollar. And then let's look at dollar CAD. Okay, dollar CAD, this is a beautiful pullback. Came out of it off of the 50-day moving average, and now dollar CAD looks like it's going to go higher as well. Okay, we can run a fib grid here. All right. And we can see that the next resistance comes in, come on, at 1.1666. Well, that's not really a nice number. All right, but that looks like the next resistance for the dollar CAD. All right, so as long as we're doing everything in kind of reverse order, let's go to crude oil. We had a nasty day on Black Friday. All right, I still believe, and I've been saying this, that oil is going to go to these 2009 lows. Not really that far from it right here. Let's grab this number here. You got 63 and 60 for $60.65. Again, you'll get some people that are saying this is bad for the economy. I don't know. Gas prices going down is being perceived as a good thing for now, and we'll see that when we look at the major indexes. Gold also had a nasty day. Looks like the low in gold has not been seen yet. And it looks like gold will continue to move lower. I still believe that gold takes out this low. I've been saying that for a while. I disagree with my partner, Paul. Paul thinks that we're going to put in a higher low and go higher. That's why they make vanilla and chocolate ice cream. But I think that this blow-off was severe enough to, warrant from here just kind of a... I don't want to start being like one of these Chicken Littles and, calling it this word and getting people like, oh, he's really calling for a huge bear market. But no, I think there could be a collapse here. I think that this was enough to sucker everyone in, and I don't think the pain's big enough here. I think breaking this low will definitely cause a lot of pain, and I think even going back till the sub 500 level is going to cause even more. So that's my opinion. Of course, that doesn't mean that day to day, week to week, you can't take long positions or you can't trade it from either side, actually, depending on what your holding period is. Okay? Silver, also nasty day. I think silver's going to under $9. That's my longer term opinion. Okay, grains continuing to move higher. We talked about this, how grains were in a big downtrend, and then it looked like they turned here. And even if they didn't turn totally around, they could go into a multi-month short-term uptrend. Corn is sideways, but I'd watch corn and soybeans too. Wheat looks the best, but I love these patterns here because you wait for your entry and you know where you're wrong quick. All right, so if you're looking to go long above here, you know you're wrong here. All right, so that's corn. Let's look at sugar. Sugar looks like it's ready for lower prices. And coffee looks like it wants to fall out from here as well. So I'd be watching that too. Let's look at the major indexes now. The S&P 500 is coiled up right at the 127% external retracement. I have been saying for a while that I believe that we are due a pullback or consolidation before we go higher. We are not pulling back. It looks like the best we're going to get is a consolidation. But, we could still get a pullback here. We could still get a pullback to the gap fill, to the 10-day, to the 20 EMA, to the middle of this consolidation here, which is around the 20 EMA. So, this may not be all she wrote. We could still pull back from here. It just looks like we're just never going to pull back. All right, the next upside level, which I think we hit before the end of the year, pardon me, is 214 and a quarter. I think we get there before the end of this year. All right. But I do think that we are due a pullback, at least for a chance for the bulls to get on board. Diamonds, which is the Dow, they still look higher as well. They're consolidating. The Russell, okay, so the Russell, sorry about that. That's my 9-year-old screaming at his younger brother. So the Russell played a little bit of catch-up last week. Okay, these are the 4 days from last week. You had a down day Monday, then Tuesday, Wednesday. A down day, an up day Monday, pardon me. And then Tuesday, a push-up, then a little pause on Wednesday, but then Friday came back. So, I'm definitely concerned that the Russell is not stepping up here. It's kind of do or die for that trend coming up in the next few days. Usually the small caps start to outperform the large caps right about now, and they go into the beginning of the year. If that doesn't happen, not saying we can't continue to rally, just saying that, in my opinion, and I'm going to be very suspect of that. I don't, I know there's seasonals, and I know that seasonals are just backgrounds. Hey, that's what I teach, right? In the market timing course, that seasonals are background, but you still have to pay attention when seasonals that have very high success rates, very high percentage success, aren't working. That could be a sign. Here's the NASDAQ. I think the NASDAQ is going to all-time highs. I don't think it's happening this year. But, I mean, who am I to say that it won't happen this year? This thing just continues to be on fire here. Again, just like the S&P, just like the Dow. I believe it needs to rest here. I'd like to see a consolidation or a pullback. But again, I'm not looking to short it here. I'm just looking for those places to buy my time to look to get on board the long side. Okay, let's look at the semiconductors. If I can type it right. Still can't type it right. Okay, so here's the semiconductors. Overbought but nice. Up at multi levels. Klatenka, kick and move on Friday. Intel, nice move, but it tailed off. How about Nvidia? And Nvidia paused. I had this little spinning top-like candle up there. ADI, ADI had been lagging, and then it had that, look at this big day on Wednesday. Looks like that's going to go to the highs. All right, let's look at the banks. Banks are consolidating here. So we want to see if they could break. Bank of America consolidating. JP Morgan consolidating sloppily. Citigroup consolidating. How about Bank of New York? Yeah, little consolidation here. I think Bank of New York should be able to pop up and take out those highs. How about a Zion? Ugh, ugly, back below the moving averages. How about a Northern Trust? More consolidating than anything. Broker-dealers consolidating up at the highs. It looks like that's ready to get going. Goldman, sloppy, but is consolidating. Same thing with Morgan. They're sloppy, but they are consolidating up near the highs, which suggests that they're going to go higher. Amazon. Okay, watch the highs up here on Amazon. Watch the 350 area. Apple. Stretched here. Stretched, but just absolutely on fire here. I mean, again, I'm not looking to short it, but a consolidation or a pullback would be awesome for some late-to-the-party bulls to get on board. Google. If I was looking at one stock in the one of the big techs to short, it would be Google because it's under the moving averages here. But now that it's in this triangle, we have to give it the benefit of the doubt and look to see if it can either pop up or pop down out of this pattern. Okay, let's look at Priceline. Yeah, 200-day moving average is above. And you got Netflix. There's another one not looking so great. So far it's holding support, which is this tall green candle. But if it breaks there, that would be a pattern failure. Tall green candle pattern failure. And I would look for these lows to get tested down here at the 300 area. All right, Potash. Just too sloppy. There's Wynn Resorts. Just sloppy, not doing anything. Las Vegas Sands looks better. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not really an inverted head and shoulders. It's more like a double bottom kind of pattern here. Definitely to watch. His Twitter, which I forgot about. Again, I know I get asked about Twitter a lot. So far, it's just in a consolidation. I don't really have a strong opinion. Caterpillar, wow, gave it up on Friday. Very sloppy. John Deere, similar. Very, very sloppy here. All right, so again, we're stretched. But I get the SPY, the S&P 500 going sideways here. So is the Dow. The NASDAQ actually went off to higher prices to end the week. I believe we're going higher into the year end, but I would like either a bigger consolidation or a pullback for a safer spot to get on board. All right. Stay tuned because we have a webinar coming up. I believe it will be the second week of December. Yes, probably December 10th. And we're going to talk, we're going to do some market timing stuff, Paul and I. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you're on the email list at stockmarkettrendsx.com and at paulandsaul.com. I'll be posting some blog posts there over the weekend. And that's it. Hope everybody, like I said, had a great Thanksgiving. Your feedback is always welcome. Tiny at stockmarkettrendsx.com. I will talk to you via the daily email or in next week's video. Have a great week.